Alright guys, so let's try this for the third time and see if we can make this work. I don't know what is going on with the lighting in this hotel room, but the first two times, thank you for whoever just signed on. The first two times that I started the stream, which you won't see because I already deleted, everything was lighted perfectly except for my face, which you can kind of see it's still white, but like literally I looked like I was like shining like the sun baby from Teletubbies. That's what it looked like. So I'm not sure, is the new job schedule brutal? Yeah, it is. I mean, honestly, the money makes it worth it. I've been telling you guys in comments and videos that it's 13-hour shifts, and I was actually wrong about that. It's 12-hour shifts. So I was thinking 13 for some reason for taking a lunch, but that's not the case. Currently, I'm working 1:30 a.m. Central Time to 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And we don't get a dedicated lunch, but we have a lot of downtime. So we do just kind of take lunch at some point during that. Let me fix the camera here real quick. The lighting's about as good as it's gonna get, because, oh, I cannot get that to cooperate. And of course I'm dropping everything. Basically, guys, I'm trying to do this from a hotel room, so nothing is cooperating with me right now. But we'll make the best of this. Cool. So yeah, guys, anyway, this is the makeup live stream for the end of May, and then also the live stream for June. I know I said we could do two of them, and that's the case because I will have some free time like the next 5 or 6 days or so. So if you guys would like me to do a second live stream, if we still have questions or things you guys want to discuss, we can definitely do that. We'll see what the interest level in that is. While we do this, I'm going to be... Oh, okay, Tom. If I do it, it'll probably be closer to the end of the month. Right now it's the 21st. I'll probably do it, yeah, like I said, closer to the end of the month. But I'll announce that before that. What I will eventually get to do is get it so that in the subscription feed, it's going to have a scheduled live stream. The reason I'm not able to do it, and I just have to post the time in the community tab right now, is because I actually don't have the proper equipment to do a live stream from the computer. Like I have a computer that has a camera, but it won't let me do it. I have to go through some other thing that I don't have. And right now I don't have the time to look into that. So right now we're just going to be doing from the phone, and I'll try to post, and hopefully you guys see it in your subscription feed, or at least in your news feed on YouTube, that one is coming up. What we'll probably be able to do eventually is just get it to where it's a set date, like the last Sunday of every month at X time, and maybe something like that. But we'll kind of see how that works out in the future. As we go, I am going to be trying to, like I said, fix this camera. The lighting is about as good as it's going to get right now. I don't know what is going on with it, but let me try to get this boosted up here, and the camera may fall again, so just in case that happens. Okay, well, that didn't quite do what I thought it was going to do, but maybe that's a little bit better. All right, so basically, just to give you guys an idea, right now I am in Hoover, Alabama, which is just outside of Birmingham, and I've been here for 3 weeks now. I'm going to be flying out tomorrow morning. I've got a flight to Columbus. Actually, I'm going from Birmingham to Orlando. I've got an hour-and-a-half layover, and then back to Columbus. I'll be home in Columbus for about 5 days, and then I'll be flying out to my next site. So to the person who posted the first question about whether the schedule is brutal, yeah, it is. But as you guys know, personal finance channel, I really need the money. And so I really got to take advantage of this opportunity. Speaking of that, I don't know if I have mentioned this to you guys, or if it's just something I had in my mind and just kind of assumed you guys knew. But essentially, in the timeline that this work is available, I should be able to get about 5 deployments. And for the first deployment, the goal was to pay off the credit cards. For the second deployment, it's to just save and put it in the emergency fund. The third one, which will be the next one, that is to pay off the negative equity on the car and then refinance the car. And then deployments 4 and 5 are also to save. Now, there's a few other things. There's a possibility that the contract could be extended and there could be more deployments. There's also the possibility that, totally forgot what I was saying there. But the point is to share with you guys so far with where I'm at. I have basically paid off the small credit card last month, and I paid off a huge chunk of the big credit card. I didn't quite get it done. I owe a little over $2,000 still on it, but I am working on that. It's much lower than it was, and then this month, every extra bit of money I've got, I'm putting toward the emergency fund. So that's going up quite rapidly as well. So also, I know I mentioned to you guys that I've been having problems with my phone, and I'm kind of limping that along right now. I got the battery replaced, which doesn't fix all the issues. What would you say is the worst job you ever had? That's hard. You guys know I've had a lot of jobs. And a good reason that I've had a lot of the job, or a big reason that I've had so many jobs, is that a lot of them were fairly bad. There's two. I don't want to say this is a definitive answer, but there are two that stick out to me. One of them is the job that I had in summer 2015, where I was an assistant property manager of a luxury apartment complex. And you guys know I want to own and manage properties at some point, but this job was just awful. And I think it was mostly my boss. I did make a video about that. I believe that's the video called "I Quit My Job." I know in the thumbnail I'm holding like a can of Arizona tea. So if you guys want to watch that, it does tell a good bit of that story and why I didn't like it. But I was working 7 days a week, 70 hours a week, and it wasn't like this job where that was what was expected. You know, I didn't walk in knowing I was going to be doing that. And the other one that I can think of is when I worked at American Eagle. I did also make a video about working at American Eagle, and I tried to lay out in that video why I didn't like it, but I don't think that I really expressed that in the greatest way. I couldn't put it into words. But oh hey, everybody's jumping on here. We got up to 7 people now. So hey to everybody popping on. I'm just answering questions as I go. So ask me some questions and I'll give you some answers. But yeah, American Eagle, and I worked there part-time 2013 and 2014, and that was the only job I can say that I truly dreaded going to work. Talk about what you think of UBI. Do you think half the population will have jobs? Okay, it took me a second to realize what UBI was. Did you ever finish the petroleum engineering degree? And how's it going with the girlfriend? Okay, let me try to answer these in the order that it'll be the easiest to. I did not ever finish the petroleum engineering degree. That was fall 2013. After being out of school for a year, first of all, I was having a hard time with the math. for various reasons. I think that probably could have been remedied, but I was having a lot of other problems. My stepdad died. Just during the semester I went back, um, my car blew up. I was having to pay somebody a lot of money to drive me to class, and I was missing some class because of that. Um, I was also working full time during this. Then I got fired from my job, and it was just a huge mess. So I took a personal leave of absence, or maybe it was medical, but it was 5 years, and I just never went back because all the things that happened in that 5 years. And so, to answer the other question with the girlfriend, I'll be honest with you guys, that's not going very well. I don't exactly know where things stand with it right now. But unfortunately, even though we had planned on buying a house together and everything at the beginning of April, um, I'm not going to say anything bad about her on here, but she has a lot of problems that she needs to work out with herself and in her life. And it really sucks. It sucks to be caught in the middle of that. Um, but unfortunately, after she decided that she didn't want to live with me, haven't heard from her again. And I do know that there's a lot more going on in her life, and I'm not even sure that the reason I haven't heard from her is not because of me. Oh, how did you meet her? Um, I'll answer that in a sec. So basically, this is a girl that I've been off and on with for like 8 years. She'll come back around in some capacity, whether it be as friend, girlfriend, I don't know. But we have been a big part of each other's lives. So, um, I don't appreciate some of the things that she did or the way she did them, but at the same time, I do really care about this person, and um, she's going through a lot. I'm not going to ditch her. She comes back around and wants to talk, I'll be there. Um, so just I'll let you guys know how that goes. I'm a little embarrassed to say that it's not going well, but unfortunately, that decision wasn't up to me. And I can just hope that, you know, she takes care of some of the things she needs to take care of, and she'll come back around at that point. Um, to answer the question, we met on OkCupid, actually, way back in 2012. Back when OkCupid wasn't even an app, it was like a website you went to on a computer. And she messaged me first. Her location, even though she was living in my hometown about 15 miles from me, she had it set to her college town, so I never would have met her if she hadn't messaged me. And then it just evolved from there. Just like any other thing, you start texting, you meet up, that kind of thing. And, we build a really strong friendship over the years. And I apologize, I realized that I skipped a question and I don't remember what it was now. I have a terrible memory, so if whoever I didn't answer their question. Um, okay, let me back up. So Tom's asking what's her financial situation, and the other question was about my hobbies. To be honest with you guys, I generally just say I don't have hobbies because I work all the time. But that's not really true. It's just I've trained myself over the years not to do anything that costs any money. So my hobbies are generally walking around Target. Oh, UBI question. I'm gonna write this down because I don't wanna miss that, but I know my memory. So give me 1 second. Okay, I will get to that. So basically, I say I walk around Target. I would say that I like video games, but I don't have any new systems. The newest one I have is PS2. I do play a game on my phone called Rules of Survival, which is kind of like PUBG. Oh, and I play Pokemon Go. So I'm a level 36 trainer on that. But, I don't have a lot of hobbies because things cost money. And I also live in Columbus, Ohio, where it's cold 9 or 10 months out of the year. So I do actually really like to get outdoors. But hiking is about the only thing I can do that doesn't cost money. And I really desperately want to get a kayak. But you guys know how I am. I don't know if I can justify spending the money to do that. That's a battle I'm having with myself right now, because I'd have to get a rack for the car and a bunch of other things, not just the kayak itself. But I would really like to do that. Um, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. But I do also really like to try new things. So basically, like I said, I've trained myself to not do anything because I don't want to spend money. But if my financial situation keeps getting better, then maybe after I work all of these deployments till September or whenever, maybe I can actually have a life and get to know some of the things that I really like to do. And then somebody asked about the girlfriend, and I will say I will refer to her as my girlfriend here, even though we are technically broken up, because like I said, we've been off and on for years, and also I think all my friends and coworkers still refer to her that way. You're making great income now. Are you trying to max your 10,000 emergency fund first before you pay off your last credit card? Actually, no. I'm trying to do the opposite of that. Do you get time to explore the cities you're deployed to? So with the question of the emergency fund and credit cards, I'm actually trying to pay off the credit cards first, just to get those out of the way. More importantly, to get the monthly payments out of the way, and also just so I don't have to pay as much interest over time. I just want those gone. At the same time, I am saving $1 per hour worked toward the credit card, and for this deployment, I am putting this toward savings, all the extra money toward savings. My goal is $10,000. That's been my goal for years, but I'm actually going to raise that once I get to 10,000. Somebody joining the live stream now. Are you still in Birmingham? Yeah, Laura, I am in Birmingham. I'm actually in Hoover, which is like outside of there, and I work in Bessemer, which is about 15 miles from Hoover. Now, somebody asked about the girlfriend's financial situation, and hers is radically different from mine. Essentially, she is. Why is it called a deployment? Are you in the military? I'm not in the military, but the organization that I work for, a lot of the people who run it and who are my bosses are in the military, and I indirectly work for the National Guard. So we do use a lot of military terminology. And a lot of our job is sort of organized like the military would organize it. Somebody asked about whether we get to explore the cities we're in, and the answer to that is yes, but no. You essentially have 4 hours free a day. That includes getting groceries, commuting, and eating and things like that. So you might get out once or twice during your deployment, but you really don't get to do much. I did go to the Apple store twice while I've been here, and I went to grocery store maybe 3 or 4 times, and I drove to downtown Birmingham one time. So I haven't really done much. I didn't even get out to the state park. And just to jump back, I know I started explaining the whole like girlfriend, her financial situation. She is in a very different situation. She grew up with a trust fund. I will tell you that she does not think of herself as well off. And I think that in general she's correct about that. But she just seems a lot better off compared to me and my background. She is almost 31. She does still currently live at home, so she doesn't have to pay rent or anything like that. But she bought a car recently, and she's making her own payments on that. She does work 2 jobs, and she is, currently laid off because of the virus, but she does work 2 jobs normally. And then she's looking at getting on her feet, getting an apartment, that kind of thing. Whether that be with me or on her own. And I think the biggest thing for her is that she doesn't have any debt because, she did Have you considered working in the coal mines? I'll get to that. Um, but she doesn't have any debt. She does have great credit. Um, Even though she hasn't used her credit a lot, she just recently got a car loan and bought a brand new car with like a 3% interest rate. So um, her car payment's a lot lower than mine. Have I considered working in the coal mines? Uh, yeah, but not seriously. The area that I live in does not have coal. Um, I'm from West Virginia, and while West Virginia is known for coal, the area that I live in does not have, or well, am from, doesn't have coal. The only place that I've lived in West Virginia that did have coal was around Morgantown. Thoughts on Dave Ramsey? Okay. Um, and I asked my mom about it, and essentially my mom's like, yeah, I know it's good money, but don't do it. It's just too dangerous, whether there be an actual accident or just the gradual, getting black lung or something like that, or back problems. So, I went with my mom's advice on that. I want to jump to the universal basic income question first. And I will tell you guys, I don't know a whole lot about it. I think it sounds in theory like a good idea. And I'll tell you that my reasoning for thinking that it's a good idea is because you guys know my background and so many of my job searching videos, so many of my videos about jobs. It's never been a lack of intent or desire to work to get money. It's just been, I can't. Like, I'm not able to secure that. And you guys also know that if I'd had a stable income throughout all this time, I would be far ahead on running my own business and just being in so much of a better place. So I do think that it would be a good idea. I think that it would kind of, in part, cover very, very basic expenses, like food, for people who are in situations that are very common, like not being able to find any work at all and not being able to have a job. Are your fraternity brothers more successful career-wise? Yeah, some of them. There are a few that are, yeah. Um, there are a few, and I actually am thinking of a specific quote from one of the older brothers, because we know a lot of the alumni, who even the really old guys, and there was this guy named Dean who is in his 80s now, and he said to me a few years after I graduated, that he had just never really seen anyone struggle as hard as I had after graduating, and I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think he meant it in a bad way, but like, yeah, it just kind of pointed out like I must have like the worst luck in the world, um, because I look at my brothers, I know how they got their jobs, I know their backgrounds, and I'm like, in a lot of ways I have advantages over these people, but I'm just not finding the success that they have found. So are you still planning to move to West Virginia when your deployment with your current job ends, or had? So let me explain that. And to the person who asked the Dave Ramsey question, I am going to jump back to that. But there's just a question about whether I'm still moving to West Virginia. Or have you considered other places? To be honest, I haven't really considered other places. It's between two places in West Virginia, either my hometown or the surrounding area, or Charleston, the state capital. To give you guys kind of a vague, I don't want to go into a whole story here, but like, basically for the last 3 or 4 years, well, 2 or 3 years, I've had it in my head to some extent that I was going to move back home. I don't think you have bad luck. I think you know what you want out of your career, and you've not found it yet. Tom, I appreciate that. I think I just basically call it bad luck, but you're right. I do know what I want out of a career, and the more bad jobs and the more that I struggle, I think the more clear it is what I do actually want. And it does seem like the only answer to that is to um, basically make my own income. And at some point, I want to employ others and just basically provide them good jobs, um, and not treat them the way that I've been treated by employers. Become a truck driver, live in your truck, pay no rent, then that will help you become debt free. So I know I have not made the update to my like job searching and telling you guys about interviews that I've had over the well, from the time I was laid off in January to the time that I started this job on May 1st. I am going to eventually make that video and tell you about some of those interviews and some of the what were potential jobs. I did actually look into becoming a truck driver, and I'll tell you guys why I didn't do it. Essentially, I went with one of the ones that said that they paid for your training. Well, it turns out they actually didn't. You had to pay for it, but they would let you break it down over like 2 years of working for them. But number one, I didn't want to sign a contract with a company that I had no idea how they're going to treat me. So I didn't want to basically just be forced to let them treat me however they wanted for 2 years. And then I also I wasn't keen on the idea of having to pay back that training that was supposed to be free. The third thing is that I was actually really concerned about my health. Um, I mean, I am fairly healthy, luckily, because I haven't been able to afford to go to a doctor for so many years. Um, but I know that truck driving is very stressful on your body. All of the sitting, access to healthy food is not like really a thing. We've all been in truck stops and seen what food's available. And I am concerned about that. The other thing that at the time that I was looking into that, me and the girl were still on, and I didn't want to leave her for, extended periods of time. Okay, are we back? I don't know what that was, guys. It just froze up. Um, Looks like we still got some people on here. Cool. So to finish up the truck driving answer, essentially, the trucking company was like you'd be like 1 week on or 2 weeks on, and then like 1 week off or 2 weeks off, and I just didn't, with where I was in the relationship at that point, I didn't feel like I could leave for that length of time. And I also have my mom to consider because she's in a nursing home and she does most stuff herself. But if and when certain things pop up with her, I do have to be able to get down there pretty quickly to take care of them. So that's why I didn't do the truck driving thing. Now, I'm trying to think of what other questions you guys have asked me that I was skipping around. Oh, the moving to West Virginia thing. So yes, for the last couple years, I see success coming in years, money in the 100,000s. Man, I hope so. Thoughts on changing the name of Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown? Okay, I swear to you, to the people who asked about Dave Ramsey and about the universal basic income, I will get to your questions. Let me tell you this. So, I signed the petition to name Columbus, Ohio Flavortown after Guy Fieri. You guys know I live in Columbus and have been there for like 4 or 5 years now. I'm not a huge fan of Columbus. It's good. It's better than where I'm from. But for me, it's just a place that I went to because work's available. So I'm not just like, I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm a fan, like, but it's okay. But with that being said, obviously it's named after Christopher Columbus, who's like a terrible guy. And they have taken down 2 of the 3 statues of him in the last week. And this comes up every year on Columbus Day, whether we should change the name of Columbus. And if you look back at the history of why it's even named Columbus, It's just basically because like one guy was like, "Hey, I'm Italian, and this guy's Italian and famous, so we should name it after him." And everybody was like, "Cool." So hey, look, as far as I know, Guy Fieri is a great guy, and Flavortown certainly does kind of highlight one of the big attributes of Columbus. It is a test market for all the restaurants. Um, it is also the home of Wendy's, White Castle, probably some other places that I'm not thinking about right now. Um, so it definitely fits. And if they call it Flavortown, awesome. I don't actually think that's going to happen. I will say in the past there were proposals to call it Tecumseh, who, if you don't know who that is, locally most people would know who that is. He was a Shawnee warrior toward the end of the time that like the tribe still lived here. Um, so I think they're saying to name it after him because usually this debate comes up around Columbus Day, and naming it like Indigenous Peoples Day. So I think people are going to have a hard time pronouncing and spelling Tecumseh, so that might not be the best option. But I'm definitely open to the options of changing the name of the city. I just don't know or really have any good suggestion of what to change it to. Um, so, universal basic income question. I think I kind of like half answered that. Um, but I do think that for people who are in situations like me, you have nice wall paintings. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I am actually in a hotel room right now. Um, I uh, they pay for hotel rooms for. All right, guys, it disconnected there for a second. Hopefully, y'all are still there. So, Colors Bavon, hey. Um, but yeah, they put us up in a nice hotel here. So these are just the ones that come with the hotel room. But I appreciate that anyway. Um, I do think that for people in the universal basic income kind of thing, okay, cool. Hopefully you guys are still on. Um, but yes, I keep getting sidetracked, but essentially I think that it would be a good idea, um, and we'll just have to figure out how exactly to make that work as far as like sourcing that money. But I think that it would have more positives than negatives. Um, to to the person who just asked about face masks in Alabama, I would say for the most part, no. People here are not really wearing face masks. As you've probably seen in the news, there's like a huge spike in cases here. Pretty much everything is reopened here, and pretty much everybody's just going about their life as usual. So, we'll see what happens long term, but they're very far less careful about that here, and they're not required anywhere, as far as I can tell. Oh, the Apple Store for some reason, but maybe that's just their policy. Um, and I apologize, guys. I think I've missed some questions. Go ahead if you're still here, or post them again if I have. But for the person who asked me about Dave Ramsey, I have a lot of opinions on Dave Ramsey, and as you guys know, I don't follow his plan. Someday, yeah, Dave Ramsey is a mean guy. That's the comment I got here, and I have to agree with that. I know it's a wildly unpopular opinion in personal finance, but I don't think that Dave Ramsey's a nice person. And with me, I try to be a good person, and I try to be nice. And you guys know I don't always succeed at that, but I do try, and I do feel like, yeah, he just comes short or falls short in that. So I I don't want to make a video like trashing him. I think most people who follow my channel are probably following his plan. Um, but I will say that I don't agree with a lot of his opinions. And well, partly I don't follow his plan because it doesn't really apply to me. Like a lot of the stuff, like I don't want to have kids, so I don't need to save for their college. Um, I don't um, I don't tithe, I don't go to church or anything like that. I don't believe in doing that. I feel that people can do what's best for their situation. That's probably the biggest issue. He's very much, this is the plan, you have to do it this way. And I'm just like, no, not really. Um, and I'll tell you guys, eventually I am going to make a video basically saying like why I don't follow Dave Ramsey or why I don't follow his plan. But number one, I don't follow his plan of the baby steps. And number two, I don't. The thing about Dave Ramsey is his program requires a lot of compromise and suffering. You have to really lower your quality of life. Yeah, yeah, I get that. Um, yeah, I don't think that that's inaccurate. I just think that it doesn't really apply to me in the sense that um, the things that he asks you and just assumes that you're planning for and want in your life, um, it is not what I want. Um, you need a credit score in the real world. He doesn't believe in that. That is true too. Now, I won't go very far either direction with that. I won't be like credit is terrible and evil, and like Dave does, and I won't be like, this is something that you need to get on and take advantage of. I think that's kind of a personal decision based on your situation and your preferences. I do have 2 credit cards. I do work on bettering my credit score, but at the same time, my goal is always to pay for everything in cash. And so I kind of get like the old school thought process that he's going for with that. Um, I again, I'm not going to get into it 100% here, but I will say that I do have a lot of opinions about Dave Ramsey, and a lot of them are not agreeing with the things that he has said or done. And I think really the most damning thing I can say about him is that I came across, and you guys will probably see it or have seen it out there. There was a blog article written. I just got the SBA grant. Have you applied for it? I'll answer that in just a second. Colors of Avon. Oh, wow. Max, I have found it really difficult to find decent employment unless you have a degree that is STEM. It's a double-edged sword because a lot of people fall. Oh, okay. That kind of. I missed the bottom of that, but it's definitely easier to get a job if you have a STEM degree. But at the same time, I know those people have a hard time getting jobs too. I think that the difficulty in getting jobs is more with the company or HR or things like that, more so than it is exactly what degree you have. That's not at all the way that it should be, but that seems to be the way that, that it is in the real world. So, I apologize again, guys. I know I've missed several questions, but as far as the Dave Ramsey thing, I mean, I'll just say, look, when it comes down to it, that article that you guys can find, it's out there somewhere. It basically gave Dave Ramsey as the example of how to handle personal finance and me as the example of how not to. And I'm like, wow, that's really specific when I have 1,000 subscribers and he has millions. But, when it comes down to it, this is what I can say. I've worked and I am on track to pay off all of my debts. Dave Ramsey didn't do that. He filed for bankruptcy and didn't pay his debts. So a lot of the criticism I get on this channel is that, oh, well, you took the loans out and you got to pay them. Well, that's what I'm doing. And the person that I keep being told to listen to and follow didn't do that. So, take that for what it will. Who wrote the article about you? Where can I find it? You did it. Oh, you did it the man way. Thank you. Yeah, I am. I realize I took out the debt, and I am trying to pay it back, even though it's going to take me a long time. But yeah, no, I don't. Hello? Okay, hopefully we're reconnected. It just keeps disconnecting and saying the signal's low. Um, so, American job market is doing poorly the past 10 years. True. True. And I'd say even longer than that. It is tough. Um, and I'm sorry, guys, I got sidetracked again. The last question I remember is from Laura asking me to circle back about the West Virginia question. So, Parkersburg is my hometown, and that is where I'm considering moving to. That was where I first got into my head that I would move back home. I have a storage unit project. As you guys know, I pay storage unit rent every month, and I want to get that cleaned out and just not have it anymore. So that's one thing I got to take care of. And logistically, I really need to be down there to do it. The second thing is my mom's down there in a nursing home, and I don't get to visit her very often. That would help a lot with that, and also helping her with things. The girl, you know, on again, off again, but when that is on, she's down there, and that would help with that. And then there's a lot of things that I'd like to do for YouTube that I am not able to do right now, but they require me to be down there, or at least visit more often. And if I do it by visiting, there's a lot of expenses. So Parkersburg's my first option. Charleston's my second option. The Charleston idea came about because the girl and I had already decided we were moving in together for various reasons. Turns out she couldn't move to Columbus, so she wanted me to move back home to my hometown with her, and then she decided that she wanted to move to Charleston, so then we decided we were going to move there. So essentially, through looking at apartments there with her, I realized that I could get an apartment there that was about the same price as what I'm paying in Columbus, but for a very much nicer place. I live in a bad neighborhood, and my apartment's not nice. I could live in a great neighborhood, the best neighborhoods in Charleston, with like a really nice newly renovated apartment in like the historic district for what I pay now. And it might even be a 2-bedroom for what I pay now. I just think that for the most part, the sort of standard of living would be better there in the same price range as I'm paying now. So Charleston is still a big option for me, but I kind of have a potential in Parkersburg where I might be able to live super, super cheap for a little while. And I might take advantage of that first, and then maybe or maybe not after that, move to Charleston after I've got some more stuff paid off. I do also have a job lined up in Parkersburg, tentatively for October. Now, I don't know if I want to take this job, but they interviewed me, and then they like me, and they basically said, well, let us know when you get home from your last deployment, and we'll see. It pays only $14.42 an hour, where I'm making $20 right now, but it is also much cheaper to live there, and so I'm not sure, but it is something that's a potential down the line. So hopefully that answers the West Virginia question. Sort of as that develops, I can tell you guys more about what happens with that. Believe in your instincts because you can't go wrong there. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm also trying to like more make decisions based on what I want to do, rather than including other people in them. Oh, thank you. So basically, one of the things that now I know somebody asked me another question, and I'm sorry I missed it again. Just so you guys know why I keep missing questions, they pop up for like a second or two on the screen, and then basically I don't see any of the comments on here. There's no way for me to actually check it. Yes. So, and I actually just checked to see if I could change that, and I can't. So I can't actually see it on my end at all. So unfortunately, I'll just have to ask you guys to keep asking things. It's good you're making decisions for you too. That's important too. Yeah, Laura, that's something that's been really hard for me. My friends have been on me about it, to kind of like reframe my mindset and not put everyone else first. Um, and I think that that's kind of part of why I want to move to Charleston. Essentially, even though I might not end up getting a place with the girl, and the girl and I may not even get back together. Who knows? But if I do, now that like because I went down there with her and I saw the better quality of life that I could have for the same price down there, um, now I'm kind of sold on going down there, and I would just have to build a life for myself down in that area, which is a place I've been to before, but like never like lived or really known much about. Um, so it would be a big change, and I kind of look forward to it as sort of an adventure. But it's something that I don't know. I'll see. The plan right now essentially is I'm going to redeploy as many times as I can. I do 3 weeks on, 21 days on, and then 5 days off. And I keep doing that till our company's contract runs out in the end of September. Now, at the end of September, we think we're going to lose the contract. There's a possibility it might be extended through the end of December. And I'm looking at probably October or January, where I'm going to be filing for unemployment because I won't have this job anymore. And for 39 weeks, I'll be able to be on unemployment. And the plan is that at that time, based on my income, I should be able to get the maximum benefit weekly from Ohio unemployment, which is $400 and something. And then I'm going to supplement that with some of the money that's in my emergency fund, to get myself to $500 or $600 a week that I can live off of. And with doing that, I should be able to spend an entire 39 weeks, it's like 8 or 9 months, focusing literally 40 hours a day working on YouTube and building this. Whereas, you guys know, I get to spend maybe like 5 hours a month right now. So yeah, my channel grows very slowly. Yeah, I don't have cover art. Yeah, I don't have professional lighting or a good camera. But like all of the stuff that I really need to do to take this seriously and to really build it, I have the potential now where I can make that happen, because I have a time period where I don't have to work, because I'm going to have this money coming in. And part of the reason I'm doing this, not only because I would like to do this full-time as a career, but also, if I move to West Virginia, there really aren't jobs there. I have that one that's a possibility, but like the big thing and the reason I didn't pull the trigger on moving to Charleston earlier this year is I couldn't find a job there, and there aren't good jobs there. I mean, you might find one, but they're not very many. So I have to be able to make my income online if I'm going to move down there. And that has been the big holdup, is just building the YouTube channel to the point that I can live off of it. Right now, it's mostly AdSense, but again, there's a lot of things that I want to do and add in the future. And whether it just be building up viewership and AdSense money, that's a great start. But there are so many other things that I want to add and do that I just haven't had the time to. And when I have so many ideas for videos, and when I actually get time to produce them and work on them, you guys are going to like the channel a lot more, because it's not going to just be updates about what I'm doing in my life. It's going to be concepts about personal finance, and it's going to be things that are actually interesting to more people. So I mean, I appreciate you guys that like me personally or are interested in my finances, but it's going to attract a lot bigger crowd. And I do have what I think are some pretty unique ideas about personal finance, and the systems of doing it, and I have a lot of plans for the future about what to do about that. So I'm just kind of sticking through working all these crazy hours right now, just because I know in the end I'm going to be years, like literally so many years ahead of where I would have been personal finance wise, and I'm going to be almost essentially debt free. Um, when I say that, I will still have my student loans, but pretty much everything else will be wiped out. Um, and then, of course, that's not the end. And I will say this is another criticism I have of Dave Ramsey, but like, um, being debt free is not the end, it's the beginning. You're just trying to get to the starting line. And that is when you live your life. That's when you start a business and you invest and you set yourself up so that you don't have to work and you can just enjoy life. That's not something I've ever got to do. I've taken 2 vacations in my life, ever. And by vacation, I mean taking 5 days off work. In the 20 years of work history that I have, I've taken 2 5-day breaks. And, I would like to learn how to enjoy myself. Um, so that's something that I'm going to work on in the future when I'm able to. Obviously, paying off debt, that comes first, but that is something down the road. So anybody else that I missed your question and still need that answered? Or if anybody has any more questions, go ahead and answer or ask them. Okay, I don't see anything coming in, but if you're typing, go ahead and post that. Oh, Tom, sorry. Yes, I forgot about the article. Um, to tell you what it is the other day, I was having I was a night where I got off work and I was just tired and couldn't force myself to do anything productive. So I like Googled my channel name and I think I put student loans. I think it was like MarkGoudy student loans. Laura asks where I'm traveling to next. But the student loan thing, mostly it came up my videos, a few things like that, some news articles where I've been interviewed. I don't have a link to this blog post, but I mean, you guys, I think, could easily be able to find it. And it was just a blogger. I don't even think they were a personal finance blogger, but yeah, they pointed out, they're like, look at Dave Ramsey as an example of what to do, and then me as an example of what not to do. Which I'm like, hold up. Because I mean that's a big difference, right? You're comparing. It's like comparing like an NFL player with like a pee-wee football player, right? And not only that like it's a weird comparison, but I would like somebody to explain to me what exactly I did that was wrong, right? Like how am I the wrong example of what to follow? I did the best with the cards I was dealt. And I mean, if I didn't have the intent to pay off my debt, or if I wasn't really trying, I wouldn't have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to doing that, right? So, I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm not upset a little bit about it. It sucks when somebody kind of intentionally misunderstands you as a person. But anyway, yeah, I only came across a couple of negative things. But anyway, I mean, I don't want you guys to like go, find that person and hunt them down or anything. I appreciate you caring, but so Laura asked if I get to find out where my next deployment is. And yeah, the answer to that is kind of. Basically, we have around 50 to 100 different sites, and I'm not allowed to request where I go. But I haven't quite figured out yet if there is a rhyme or reason for the places that I'm being sent. Basically, what happens is, okay, so currently living in Columbus, Ohio. When I was hired, they told me they would most likely send me somewhere in the Midwest. A few days later, after my training, they sent me to Jackson, Mississippi. And I was in Jackson for 3 weeks, so for most of May. And then for the last few days of May, I was back in Columbus. By the time my first deployment ended, I had my orders to go here to Birmingham, Alabama. And I've been here tomorrow. Technically, today is my last day here. But because my flight is not until the morning, I asked if I could go in and work a partial shift. They are going to let me do that. I'm going to be working about 1:30 a.m. to like 6 a.m. And then going to the airport. And so far, I've not got my redeployment yet. But there were some people who left last week who were already back home for a couple of days before they got their redeployment information. That being said, there's also the possibility that I might get more than the 5 days off I requested, which is great. We're only allowed to request 5 days off, but, well, it's 0, 3, or 5. So I have things to attend to at home, like my car and my apartment, and just getting caught up on sleep. But with the redeployment information, my site lead actually did ask me to request some sites that I'd like to go to, and I did that. And HR basically responded saying, "You don't get to pick where you go." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I knew that, but my site lead told me to." So I have requested to either go out west. We have sites. We have a site in Hawaii, but I have pretty much been told I'm not going to go there. West Coast, somewhere in the west, like the Rocky Mountain areas, love to see it. And New England, there's a few sites up there. Okay, I don't know what you guys are seeing on your end, but it keeps going to a gray screen and then it says there's no signal and I have to reconnect. But apparently the stream hasn't ended, so who knows. But anyway, guys, basically, I could end up like 100 different places, and I don't have any say in it. So I'm trying to just travel to places I've never been to before. And so far, I reconnecting. All right. So hopefully we're back. Keeps disconnecting. But anyway, I started out in Ohio. I flew to Atlanta, and from Atlanta to Jackson, Mississippi. Then from Jackson, Mississippi to Dallas, Texas. So not only had never been to Mississippi before, but I'd never been to Texas before. Although just being in the airport, I'm not sure that counts. And then Dallas to Columbus. And then on my second deployment, I went I went Columbus to Dallas, and then Dallas to Birmingham. And then on my way out, I'm going Birmingham to Orlando, and then Orlando to Columbus. So, yeah, I'm getting to travel, which is pretty cool. And we'll just see where that goes. Dallas now technically is the furthest west I've ever been. And I've always wanted to travel, but you know me, no money, so haven't been able to do that. But even just seeing Texas from the sky has been pretty cool. And I'm just going to try to make the best of wherever I end up. Currently, I'm more than likely looking at 3 more deployments. Oh, sorry, Colors of Avon. Do you plan to apply for SBA grant? Okay, so I know that you just said earlier that you applied for that, and I apologize. My memory. And I have noticed that with like kind of the sleep deprivation I have with this job, my memory has gotten much worse. I think that'll go back once I get rested up. But I have not applied for anything as far as the SBA stuff or the PPP. I actually didn't file for unemployment either when I lost my side hustles due to the virus. And essentially the reason why for all of them comes down to I didn't know if I was eligible, and I don't have the time with everything that's going on and mostly work to look into whether I'm eligible for it. So technically, I'm a small business, yes, but I don't actually have a payroll. And as far as I did look into it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had to have some sort of payroll. So I'm not incorporated as a business yet for the YouTube channel, and so don't have an EIN, and I don't issue a payroll to myself. It's just the AdSense money is just deposited into my checking account, and then I get a 1099 for it. I do treat it as a business. Like I have QuickBooks Self-Employed, and if anybody's interested in getting that, I actually have a code where I can get you a discount on it. But I've used it for years. You qualify for the grant. I already received it. No payroll necessary. Okay, well, I'm gonna have the next. Well, not tomorrow because I'll be flying all day, but the 5 days after that I'll have off. I'll look into it. I have no idea what I would put down as the numbers. Um, I guess I'll just have to look at the application and see what it says. I was under the assumption that I either didn't qualify or it was very questionable if I qualified for any of those types of things. And the reason I brought up unemployment is you guys know that I do TaskRabbit. And I had this one recurring gig with a guy. He has a company who I even have a corporate card with this company. And the places that I go to buy his merchandise and send to him, they're all closed. And I have not heard from him to see if he wants me to start shopping again. I'm not actually sure the places are even open yet. I guess I'll find out when I get back to Ohio and see, what restrictions are still in place. But essentially, yeah, I kind of missed out on unemployment. But honestly, I made like $19 every 2 weeks doing that, so it's not like it was a big amount of money. With the SBA thing, I definitely will look into that. Um, in fact, all I have to do really is pack up my hotel room tonight. Um, so maybe I'll look into it tonight, see what I can find out. If you don't mind me asking, though, Colors of Avon, what type of business do you have that you qualified for that? Okay. All right, and I'll read her response when that pops up here. But feel free, guys. Oh, I didn't gigs and sell Avon. Only apply for the COVID-19 disaster grant. It'll take 5 minutes. I can help you. Okay, cool. Is there any way, Colors of Avon, is there any way that you can shoot me your email address, just in case I do need to ask you about that? Just email me. It's markgoudyofficial@gmail.com. And then I'll see if I can fill it out tonight. And if not, I'll email you and ask you some questions. What do you, I mean, I don't know how much that I would even say that I could get from that. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of clueless about it. So, you see how much I've looked into this. But yeah, if anybody else has any questions, go ahead and post them. We'll get those answered. Oh, you got $1,000. Is that something that has to be paid back, or is that just like a grant? And I'm gonna read her comments as they pop up here, just in case you guys can't see them. No, free grant, awesome. Well, that would finish paying off my big credit card too. Or alternatively, I could buy a lot of equipment, like lighting, for YouTube would be great. Um, so I will definitely do that. So let me tell you guys this. I want to tell you where I'm at with videos right now. All right. Like I said, I have a ton of ideas that I just don't have time to make a good production of right now. But they are coming. They may well come starting in October when I have free time, but they are coming. I have a video, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys what it is. you guys know one of my biggest videos is about my ancestry DNA results. I did a 23andMe DNA results like almost 2 years ago now. I filmed the video. It's taken me forever to edit it. I have it ready to go. I literally just have to finish the thumbnail. But I don't think that it's necessarily a good time to launch that video right now, because it's basically me saying, hey, here's my hidden African DNA. And with everything going on, you guys know what I'm talking about with sort of the unrest. People are kind of up in arms about a lot of things. I don't want to kind of... I feel like it might be in poor taste right now for me to talk about like my African DNA. So that is something that will be ready to go, hopefully sometime down the road whenever some of this stuff dies down. I will also be home, I want to say the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. And maybe if they don't get my deployment to me right away, I mean, maybe a couple days more. In that time, I'm going to be filming 2 more videos that I'll have up for you sometime in July. And that will be the 6-month check-in for the financial goals, the 2020 financial goals that I posted in January. And I'm going to do my 5-year, I think it's 5-year, update to my student loan debt story. That is the one where basically I go from July to July and I tell you guys everything that's happened with my student loans that year. I'm going to be able to include the balances of those this year. Also tell you the developments that have happened with those. It's all good news, I'll tell you that right now. So those are things that are coming in July, along with the monthly live stream, the budget with me, and the budget review. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me through these times where I'm like barely getting videos up. But just know that in the background, I'm doing this like for the benefit of the channel and myself. But like basically, I'm trying to pay off my debt. And so working all the time and making the money when I have the opportunity, that's how I'm doing. Okay, are we back? Well, it looks like we're moving a little slowly, but we're back. Okay, and Colors of Avon, I just got your email, so I'll look at that after the stream ends. To everybody else, the only other thing that I have, and feel free if you've got more questions, go ahead and post them, and I'll keep answering them. But the only other thing that I have right now is just because somebody said at the beginning of the video that they would really like for there to be a second live stream. Let's just call this May's makeup live stream, and then we'll still have a June live stream. It's probably going to be in that 5-day period where I'm at home, and I'm doing basically just catching up on stuff. But we'll definitely do a second live stream. So that'll be the June live stream. And then, of course, we'll try to get a solid date pinned down to do these in the future once a month. But if nobody else has any questions, I'll go ahead and end this for now. Give you guys a couple minutes here. Okay. So I don't see anything popping up. So I'm going to end it here. Colors of Avon, I'm going to get back to you about the SBA thing. And other than that, guys, let's just plan sometime later this week. Like probably pushing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, somewhere or like that. We'll do the June live stream. And I will just post it around, I'll just post it on the community tab, and hopefully you guys see it in your feeds. And we'll try to get that scheduled for now. And other than that, You know, maybe if you're able to catch it, just you know, come up with some questions and I'll try to answer those.